Welcome in to another episode of Foreigner Loves
Filipina.
So today we're going to talk about the cultural issue that has caused Melanie and I the most issues when she got to America. Even though we've never directly talked about this, it's one of the questions I got the most about. Anytime we bring up anything about finances, I immediately get asked about sending money home to her family. I've had a bunch of you ask about that, and I've always kind of promised we will do a video on it. And so this is that video.
Yeah, here we are now making this video for you guys.
Because I think if it's been a tough issue for us.
Yeah, and it's really like hard to like decide if we really want to do it, because I know we've overpassed it, we're done with it, we get through about this issue, but it's hard to like go back again and then talk about it, because it's makes me still like the feeling is still gonna be there, like how much hurt I am, like something like that. So
yeah, well, even preparing for this session, we sat down and talked about what we're going to talk about, and you could feel the tension rebuilding as we were talking.
I feel like we're gonna divorce.
You could feel the tension rebuilding.
Yeah.
But we feel it's important to share with you guys, because if it's an issue we've had a struggle with, it's likely an issue others have or will have a struggle with. And one of the things when we started this channel, Melanie and I were committed to really trying to be honest with you guys and vulnerable with you guys and sharing our strengths and our weaknesses. I've had some people, criticize me because I just glow over Melanie all the time and like it's all cheery all the time. And
but it's not. We have problems.
Yeah, we have our issues. Now
It's like a normal couple.
Yeah, it's a normal couple. Yeah. I will say there's way more good than bad, and we argue very, very little. But there are issues, and this is our biggest one.
The biggest one.
So we're going to try to step through this.
That makes us like almost divorced, I guess.
I don't know if it ever got that bad, but it certainly created. It certainly has created tension. So. Obviously, I've kind of already alluded to it, but it's about sending money back home to the Philippines. And kind of where it really kind of started to become an issue is when she got that first job and she got her first paycheck. And I don't remember if it was the very first month or it was one of the very first months.
Yeah, I remember like the first month or the first paycheck I have, I sent to my parents' money after that, like as soon as possible.
Yeah, so she sent money, and she told me, I knew she was doing it, but I didn't. We never discussed amounts. But when I saw, first of all, how much she sent, and I saw at the same time she sent a giant box of
bayan box.
So she sent a huge box of stuff back home, and then she sent cash back home. And when I sat down and looked at it, I'm like, she sent more money than she made. And I'm like, okay, how is this going to work? And that was my first red flag that, okay, this is an area, something we've got to discuss. And so we discussed it at that time. And I don't remember exactly what we discussed, but I was like, I never had an issue with providing some support back home. It's really becomes a matter of magnitude, what is an appropriate amount. But I will say, as a foreigner, and I'll kind of give you my base case as a foreigner, and then she can give to her as a Filipina, and then we can kind of show where we came from. But as a foreigner, we're always fearful of being taken advantage of financially. That we're just nothing but an ATM. That we're being taken advantage of. That. We're just expected to pay all the bills, and then all the money gets sent back home. None of us wants to be a simp. Okay. Now we have mentioned in other videos that I did not leave with my wallet at all with Melanie. I never sent her money until we were actually trying to bring her to the Philippines. So I think that was a good thing, because our relationship early on was not based on money at all, and there wasn't a built-up expectation on the money side. But it still became an issue when she got home that she wanted to support her family. But, as an American, we don't generally send support to our parents, at least when we're young. Now, obviously, when our parents get very elderly, obviously sometimes we're helping when they get quite elderly. But when we first get out of our parents' homes, we're not sending money back home. But in the Philippines, that is very traditional, that as soon as you start working, you start sending money back home. And maybe you can talk a little bit about, kind of your perspective on it.
Yeah, I would really agree on the last part that you said, that it's kind of traditional, that the kids, or us adults that already have a job, it's like wants to help family, gives family support. And
On a base level, I don't have a problem with helping. I've helped my mom, my brothers and I, for quite a few years, paid my mom's mortgage because we didn't want her working full time. So the only way she could not work full time was for us to help with some of her finances. And so we did that for quite a few years. So I don't have an issue with that in general. But obviously there is an appropriate level.
level of
And-
amount of money.
Right.
Plus, like every time we talk Darryl, I misunderstood him a lot. We kind of like, I think our communication is kind of like not taking good on both sides.
Well, it wasn't maybe as always as detailed,
Yeah.
and sometimes you do misunderstand what I mean.
Yeah.
Like
'Cause-
we think we understand each other,
but we
and
don't.
then we actually don't.
We don't actually.
We actually,
That's what-
once you dig down, we actually didn't understand
Well,
each
I got
other.
really like have a grudge in my heart when Darryl told me about this, but I misunderstood him. This is not what I thought that he said. But then in my mind, I thought he said that he don't want me to send money in the Philippines at all. Like no, at all. So that makes me think like, oh, okay, and then but that's not what he meant.
Yeah,
So
and well,
we already.
and what she's alluded to is when we had the first conversation on this topic, she felt like she walked away from the conversation believing my position was you can't send any money home. So she actually stopped sending money home. And then at some point we had a discussion again and I realized she wasn't sending anything home. And I said, wait, I never said that. That's not what I said. I said, we have to be careful about the amount. So so some of it is communication, and some of it is a cultural difference. Now, I want to kind of get back to when her and I really started to dive into this. I really had to understand how the Philippine culture is different, because it is different, guys. Now, if you view it purely from an American mind frame or from a Western mind frame, you're never going to understand it. You're never going to get it, and it could be a element that really creates problems in your marriage. And I guess the starting point was of me really trying to understand this was, first of all, it came from a starting point of knowing Melanie's heart. That I have complete trust and faith in Melanie's heart. That Melanie, there is not an ounce of Melanie trying to manipulate me, trying to take advantage of me. And I know that. And so when I start from that point where, okay, we have a disagreement, we view things differently, but it's not a manipulation thing, it's not a take advantage of, then it allows me to step back and go, okay, I need to try to understand. And then she's obviously got to try to understand my perspective. And I think we've actually done a pretty good job of that once we kind of got into it.
Yeah, I don't think like I manipulate Darryl. It's not my, what do you call that, baby? It's not my way.
It's not your way, yeah.
It's not my way, or it's not whatever. Yeah, it's not my way to like manipulate him. All I just want is to like not support my family, but help my family in a way that I can. Like, just what I said, Darryl said earlier, that because growing up, I was like really like pursuing, that I want to have a job, I want to have a great job and things like that. And then I want to help my family, I want to help them, the way that I can help them. And that's really like my dream, growing up. But then, things happen like this, but I still want them to help.
Yeah.
And,
And so, back to having faith and understanding in Melanie, I will say, guys, if you're in a relationship with a Filipina where you don't have that complete comfort that your Filipina is honest and truthful and she's not manipulative, I could see where this could be much more difficult. I was able to start from a position of faith in her that allowed me to kind of grow. And so I just say that to you guys that, if that's not what you're dealing with, I can see where this could be even a much more difficult position. One of the things that helped me kind of try to really understand some of the cultural differences as to why there are some fundamental different reasons that there is such a difference. In America, young adults, kids who are shortly out of college, in their late 20s or 30s, quite often in America, it is the parents still helping the kids. Where in the Philippines, it is the kids helping the parents. So it is a completely opposite relationship to who is assisting who. And when that hit me, I was like, okay, now I understand why we're having such a hard time, because we're coming from polar opposite viewpoints of kind of which way assistance generally runs, okay? So first of all, that helped me understand, okay, she's not coming from a place of manipulation or trying to take advantage of me as a foreigner, or like, I'm her ATM, or her family thinks I'm an ATM because her family, it certainly doesn't feel that way, or, we've not had any issues with that. It's just that Melanie wants to, help her family. That's an instinct that she has. One of the other points that really helped me kind of understand the different perspectives that they have there versus what we have is that in the Philippines, there is no safety net. There is no Social Security. There is no Medicaid. There's nothing like that to help older Filipinos as they age, to help support them. And the other thing is that in America, generally, we work well into our 60s, sometimes much later than that. And generally, we are making more money towards the end of our career than we are towards the beginning. Where it is very different in the Philippines, where there is what we would call in America, there's definitely ageism in the Philippines, where older people generally don't have jobs.
Well, the thing is, like in Philippines, I don't know if you call it discrimination, but then when you apply a job, it's hard for the old people to get that job because they always want hire young people because they think that, it's right. They are strong. They're still active to do these things. But so that's really like the hard part there in Philippines. I feel like for me, if I'm living here in America, there will be a discrimination. Right, babe?
Yeah.
It's not okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's a little more accepted that you just don't hire older people. So it becomes harder for older people to even get a job, to get a job. So here in America, if we have a career and as we work through our career, we're generally making more money as we get older. In the Philippines, quite often it's not like that. As they get older, they may not have a job at all, or they might have to take a lesser job because it's very hard as an older person.
Exactly.
And it's a very young country. It's much younger than America. Yeah. So there's always a young person there to take your job.
Yeah, they normally can't get a nice job there. They end up going to a farm or get fishes and something like that. They end up just in the basic things that they can live. It's not like they have a salary every month. It's just hit
and miss work.
So it's really hard because it's not fair there, especially people in the province.
It's an instinct that she has, and most Filipinas or Filipinos in general, it's not just the women, to help their family members.
Yeah, not only in financial, but also in physically, assisting when they get sick, or especially when your parents are already sick in bed. It's us, especially daughters, girls, are the one who have a responsibility to take care of your parents.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and so that's another thing that's very different there than here in America, in that there are no nursing homes in the Philippines. Taking care of elderly grandparents and parents fall on the younger generation, so that is normally all done in the home. Either the grandparent or the parents live close by, or they live right in the home, and then they take care of them. As a family unit, where here it's done a lot differently. Where it's we either help from a distance, or they go into nursing homes and things like that. So that was one thing that also helped me understand is that it's a very different cultural phenomenon where it's part of their family culture is that the elderly are to be taken care of by the younger generations. And I will say, guys, for anyone who's in an age gap relationship, you should be encouraging that. You shouldn't be frowning upon that, okay? Because obviously, as I age, Melanie's natural instinct is going to be to help take care of me as I get old. So it would be really foolish of me to try to crush this natural impulse she has to take care of the older generation, okay? Mm-hmm. So, and that was another realization. I was like, why would I want to crush this? Why would I want to dampen her desire to take care of an older person when I am an older person, when we're in an age gap relationship? But even if you weren't in an age gap relationship, obviously it's a good attribute to have. So when Melanie first started making her money, and I told you she started sending money back home, the other thing I really kind of noticed was I was like, you know what? Well, first of all, the very first thing she did is when she came home with her first paycheck, she said, okay, I want to help pay the bills here at the house. And she said, she knew, she came to me and said, I want to pay the electric bill, I want to pay the water bill, and I want to buy the groceries. And I was like, fabulous. I said, that is great. And I was like, I've never had an American woman come to me and say, I want to help pay the bills. Her first instinct was to help our immediate family and help pay our bills. And then she wanted to send support home. Her natural instinct was not a selfish instinct of, oh, I've got my first paycheck. What do most Americans do when they get their first paycheck? They go buy something Gucci. Expensive, something nice for themselves. Yeah, they'll go buy, if it's a girl, they go buy a new dress or new handbag or, something. That was not her instinct at all. And so when I step back and go, okay, so her first impulse is to first help pay our family bills, and two, to help her family. That's a really great quality to have, okay? And so, yes, I could view it through negative eyes of, oh, well, she's making money, sending it all home. I could view it that way. Or I can go, wait a minute. This is a very unselfish attitude, and it's a great quality to have. And, if she had not done that, if she hadn't come in and initially said, hey, I want to help pay the bills and all that, I'm making money, and she just immediately wanted to send money home without helping, just expecting me to pay all the bills, then again, my response probably would have been a lot different. I would have been like, "Oh, wait a minute now." And then I really would have felt like I'm being taken advantage of. So that was not her nature. Her nature was, I want to help pay the bills, and then I want to help my family. So it really became a matter of really kind of figuring out what the proper amount was, and I think some of that was her learning how expensive America is. She had no understanding of how expensive it is to live here when she first got here. I think Filipinos in general, they view all us Americans as rich. We're just rich because we're in America. And they see how much money we make. And obviously the Americans that travel to the Philippines obviously have to have enough resources to be able to afford to go there, okay? So they tend to have to be at least on the upper half, okay, because they have to have enough resources to travel internationally. So when they see a foreigner, they generally see someone who has money. So maybe you can speak to that. But what are your thoughts on how Filipinos kind of view foreigners in general? Do they view us all as having money?
Like in my perspective, maybe. So in my perspective or in my viewpoint, I just view like not a foreigner, but as the state, America is is a progressive country, which it means that if you get a job, you can earn more money, especially like if you convert it into Philippines, because $1 is like how much?
58,
something like that. So it's kind of like that way. But then I think most of the Filipino think that all foreigners, specifically like the Americans, the people, are all rich because of this, because they can afford to travel, they can afford to do everything, whatever they want. So I think that's what other perspective is. But for me, it's different.
So I mentioned Melanie helping currently pay the bills. The other thing that I think helped with this was when Melanie finally got her driver's license, we had a vehicle for her that she had an accident, crashed, and we had to buy her a new vehicle. And we needed to build credit for Melanie anyhow, because I had tried to get her some credit cards in her name so that she would have her own credit. So if something ever happened to me, obviously she needs to have her own credit. She can't just be on my cards. So what we ended up doing is we ended up buying a new car. I ended up putting a large down payment on it. And then we put the financing in her name, and then she's now making her monthly payments. So Melanie is now not only paying the electric, paying the water and groceries, but she's also paying for her own car. And then she is now sending money, back home. Her and I have come to an agreement on an amount that we both think is reasonable. And she's sending, I think you're sending it every other month. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah,
How are you
every
doing
other
it?
month. Yeah, every other month.
So I've already shared how the process I went through trying to understand your culture. Why don't you share a little bit about it? You try to understand my perspective.
Yeah, like living here in America is not really like easy. Everything is easy. Like you can earn money unless like you have like a really good job, then you can earn like good money. But it's not like that. So and then there's a lot of bills. There's a lot of like bills to pay. Like it's just not only grocery. If you're living in an apartment, you're gonna pay for your apartment. So everything, and then the insurance, your health insurance, your it's just a lot. It's different in the Philippines because I don't think we have a lot of bills other than the basic needs. Like, well, I don't know. I don't really work there in Philippines. I just work here in America, so I don't know the differentiate about like what to pay but then all I know is like the basic needs, just like what my mom and dad always pay. But here in America, it's a lot of things to pay. So I kind of understand like how Darryl feel that way, but I'm also like grateful that he also like understand my culture, and it's nice to have like really have a limitation also for me and for my family to not have that kind of like taking advantage to their daughter some that way. And Daryl let me also like realize that that thing that you don't need to like pay everything and things like that. It needs to have like a limitation, which I also like. Yeah, it's really it takes not it takes me, but I respect Daryl as my husband, and I respect whatever he say. I will listen to him, and that's how it makes like our I think relationship.
Well, and I think she kind of alluded to one of the other advantages we've had is her family's not a manipulative family who's looking to her to pay for everything. Really, it was coming from Melanie wanting to help. Okay, it wasn't her family like trying to get us to do a lot of things. So I know, but I've heard the horror stories about Filipino families who are very manipulative of their children, always guilting their children into giving. Her family's not like that. So that is an advantage we've had that not everyone else watching this is going to have. But the point she talked about, her understand, and that's where I think her making her own car payment was one of the best decisions we made, because I could have bought the car outright, but it was twofold. It was primarily because she needs to develop her own credit. She now has credit. But it also gave her understanding of what some of the costs are here, because she, like she mentioned, in the Philippines, it's completely different. When she got here, I would try to explain to her all the costs that she never sees, like the homeowner's insurance and the car insurance and the health insurance and the city taxes and your property tax. There's so much money flowing out that aren't like physical things that you buy, like you bring in groceries in Laos, and there's so much money being spent. And those are things that aren't like, they don't have all those things in the Philippines. They don't have all those expenses. So I think it was probably a little hard for her to understand that at first. And then also, all the taxes that are taken out before you ever get your paycheck. Obviously, when she got her first job and she got to see that, I think that was probably a little eye-opening, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I look like I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But it's not really like the first eye-opener for me. The first eye-opener for me is like when I started paying my car, and it's like $500 a month, and then plus I need to send to my family, plus I need to pay with this some of the bills. So it's kind of hard to also like budget. But like it's just really need to have like a limitation, I guess.
Yeah. And so this is just an area, guys, that I think you're going to have a lot of discussions. And another advantage Melanie and I had is Melanie and I are both pretty frugal. It's not like frugal is...
Oh, I see.
Okay. Neither of us are big spenders. Now, if she was a wild spender and I'm pretty frugal, then it would be even harder, or if it was the other way around. So we've had a lot of advantages that have actually made our situation probably easier than some, but it still has been the hardest thing for us to overcome, because our perspectives are so different, where we come from culturally. And that's why I think I would emphasize to all our Americans and other foreigners, you have to take the time to try to understand the difference in their culture. And if you're just going to view everything through the prism that we have here in the West, you're never going to get through it. And if you think anyone who ever sends money back to their Filipinas family is a simp and is a sucker, is an ATM, if that's going to be your base position, then you will never have a successful relationship with a Filipina. Now, you should be wise and not be taken advantage of. I don't think, one of the things I never want to see any Westerner do is lead with their wallet. And I've mentioned that in a bunch of previous videos. I think if you start off early leading with your wallet, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. So I'm definitely not someone who thinks that foreigners should be foolish with their money and should be just sending money back frivolously and without some knowledge. But you have to understand that there is some differences, and there's a reason that they feel the way they do. It is not just they're trying to manipulate you and take advantage of you.
Yeah, but then you guys, we're not gonna well, we did not say that we recommend, but then if you want your Filipino to send money, like something like that, you need to have like an agreement, just like us, Darryl, have an agreement to send this specific amount, and then not like maybe, every month, maybe like what I did, like every other month. That would be like a good reason or reasonable, thing to do.
Well, and I will say one of the biggest sticking points we had, and where we both had a little compromise a little bit, and one of the reasons it is every other month, is I really was hesitant about sending monthly support, because once you do that, it's expected. It becomes a routine, and they get used to getting that money. And if all of a sudden something happens back here where there's a financial struggle or there's a reason she can't send it, then it becomes assumed that you're just going to keep on doing it. My preference was, I always told her, I would much rather it be we help when there's a specific need, not just sending it every month. Because my fear has been, and still is a little bit, that, okay, so you send money back every single month, or every other month is what she's doing. And then, then all of a sudden, if someone gets sick or there's a hurricane comes through, or, there could be anything. And then it's like, then they need money for that too. And, but to her, it was important that she was doing it on a regular basis. That was probably our biggest disagreement. If I had my way, we would still be doing it on a ad-need basis. But I realized we had to come to some middle ground, and that's when we kind of came on to the every other month, right? Mm-hmm. I'll also mention, her mom had an illness a couple of years ago before we ever got to this point. And we sent money, and I actually told her to send the money, to her mother so she could have her surgery. Her mom had this goiter on her thyroid, and it was a bulge here. And she had told me about it, but I'd never seen any pictures. Well, one day she showed me a picture of it, and I was like, whoa. I was like...
See, that's also the reason, guys, why I did send money every month, because I want to like build up money, because they're saving my money. What I send to them, they're saving it. So my plan is to like save that money until we get to a specific amount that where we can have a surgery for my mom, and things like that. So
so we ended up sending money so that she could go ahead and have the surgery. Because again, it's different there. They don't get billed. If you go to the hospital, you can't pay the bill. They don't let you out.
Yeah.
So it's a very big difference from what we have here. So how did you feel once we kind of got this settled and we came to an agreement? How did that help you, and how did that make you feel? You don't know?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like happy that we're done with that issue and we have that agreement that we're really like, like this is it, this is what it is, and it feels me like a relief that finally we're not gonna be able to like keep fighting about it, keep arguing about it, because there's already the resolution that we need, and there's already the answer that I need also to know, because you always keep asking me like, how much do you think is the reasonable amount that we need to? Well, I don't know, because this is the amount that I need, but you don't want it. So I want Darryl to like let me know how much, so that it makes me feel also better. Oh, okay, all right, so let's do that then.
And I do
He
think
keeps
that,
asking
I
me
do
that.
think this. Well, it's because I didn't want it to be. I was dictating to you that it's got to be this amount, and
Because the amount that I want, that best for my family is this amount, but then for you it's too much, so I don't know how much. So
yeah, it was a touchy thing to walk through, because I didn't want it to be me saying you can't do it, or you can only send this much. I didn't want it. I wanted it to be more of something we came together on a common basis. But and this does kind of come back to, I don't know how many Filipinos are like this, but certainly in our relationship, is Melanie wants me to take the leadership role, and she wants to say this is the way it needs to be, and then she's normally fine with it, and I'm always trying to like negotiate or trying to have a common discussion about it. But she's kind of, it's much more like, all right, just tell me the way it's going to be, and then as long as I'm not unreasonable, she's normally okay with it. So we hope that this episode has been helpful to you. I'm sure it'll generate a lot of questions. If you have questions, please feel free to ask. The one question we're not going to answer is how much money we're sending back. Okay, so don't bother asking that.
Yeah, the exact amount we're not going to tell that.
It's not your business. Okay, but we will be glad to talk about the differences and kind of the process we went through. And obviously, we want to be an assistance to you and helpful to you. So we're willing to answer any questions you have. But if you found this interesting, I would ask that you please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Like this video, and then watch this next video, which I'm not sure which one it's going to be yet. But please watch that. We appreciate all of you being willing to spend some time with us today. Thank you, and
bye.
Bye.